Welcome back to the DJ the Money Coach Expert Interview Series. I'm Nick, joined as always by DJ the Money Coach, the founder of the 7 Spheres of Money. And today our special guest is Miss Rose Spencer, the founder of the Know Thyself Academy. Now I'll kick it to DJ so he can introduce our guest.
Oh yeah, thank you, Nick. And again, welcome to the DJ the Money Coach Expert Series. And this guest here is, man, this person here is real special. This person is a warrior in the educational field and is also a really, really good friend of mine. So I want everybody to come to understand the mission that Ms. Spencer has, and also I want them to come and understand the power of how she's educating our people specifically. And then also I want you guys that are looking for great charitable organizations to invest in, to actually take time to invest some money and put it behind this phenomenal program. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Rose Spencer, soon to be Dr. Rose Spencer from the Know Thyself Academy. And I might be a little biased because she has educated all 4 of my children. So without that said, welcome to the program, Rose, and thank you for your time today.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. This is truly an honor. Thank you.
That is awesome. Awesome. So Rose, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us what made you get into this educational field, and tell us how impactful your program is, and tell us how we can help you. So you can start with telling us a little bit about you, your background, and take it from there, Rose.
Okay, great. Well, my name is Rose Lynn Spencer. So everyone knows me by Rose Lynn, and it's funny because I always start off with that because there's a Rose Spencer and there's a Rose Lynn. Rose Lynn is the person my mother raised. Rose is the person that I grew to become. So the story of Rose Lynn is my mother. I grew up in a single parent household. My mother moved from place to place. I thought I had only attended 9 schools, but just the other day in my curriculum through 1st grade to 12th, but just the other day my sister and I were talking and we started adding up, and it was actually 10 schools. So if you can imagine attending 10 schools from 1st grade through 12th grade. So my mother moved around because she followed jobs, and wherever she could get a better job, she was there. And we had to live close because we were latchkey kids. So in those 12 years of schooling, no one has ever looked at me as anything but Rose Lynn, this problem child. I had all the problems that a lot of children in our community have. Growing up with a single parent not being at home, not getting all the support and love that we need because our parents are doing the best that they can do. But in my junior year, my mother moved for the final time for me. She moved to to North Houston, which anyone knows MacArthur Senior High School is in north side of Houston. It is in I hate to call it the ghetto, but is the lower socioeconomic area of Houston. So when I went there, I always through school, I've always been a C student. Why? Because my mother said you cannot bring anything less than a C home. I gave her what she wanted. Now, some time ago, someone figured out that I had a passion for history and a passion for English. So by the time I get to MacArthur Senior High, I'm in honors English and honors history, but guess what? I'm still making C's. One little guy who, I am truly, and I have to say this is the caveat, I am a Black nationalist. I love being Black. But this one man, little white man, 5'2" high, 5'2" wide, Mr. Endel. Mr. Endel, for some reason, took a liking to me. I didn't like him, but he liked me. And he saw my passion for African American studies. This man pushed me to the point I hated him. I would cry. I would go home and cry because he did not like me. And I was telling the principals, he doesn't like me. I want out of his class where he taught the only honors class. I had to stay with him. And it was interesting because he pushed me to a point to where I always thought I was going to break, but I never broke. He made me do extra work. He gave me harder things, but he did allow me, Like when they were studying Beowulf, he allowed me to do Malcolm X, do my project on Malcolm X.
Okay.
So, because he knew I loved it, but still as a 17-year-old child, I thought this man hated me. So, and I can remember when I finally graduated, Mr. Endel, me being tall, and Mr. Endel being of the short stature, walks up to me, and I had high heels on because I thought I was grown. Oh, I'm grown now. I can do what I want to do. My mama can't tell me nothing. So Mr. Endel walks up to me. We were graduating at the time in the summit of Houston, Texas. And he walks up and he looks up at me. He says, and he used to call me Spencer. Spencer, I'm so proud of you. One day you're going to do something. You're going to take your love for reading and writing and history, and you're going to make a difference in this world. And I looked down on him being funny. Whatever. I'm not even going to college. And that was it. So this man believed in me, and he said, you're not going now, but you will. And I'm like, whatever. You know, I'm still being this smart aleck little girl. So we, I went through, I did not go off to college. And then for 2 years I worked. And this is in 1986. I was making $10 an hour, which was a lot of money. Why? Because somebody somewhere at some job thought she's pretty smart. We can use her. But my brother, my little sister was 2 years below me. She went off to UT. And then my brother bought her a car, and he put her up in the nice Dobie Hall. And, you know, and I'm like, wait a minute. Why am I over here working every day, trying to pay for my Hyundai, pay for the apartment, and pay for all this stuff? And he said, why? Because you chose that life. She wants to get an education. You get an education, I will do the same for you. So I went to TSU for 1 year because he said, you're not playing over my money. I went to TSU for 1 year, walked out straight, well, all A's and 1B. And my 1B came from someone that I love. But all A's and 1B. And then my brother said, okay, you can go to UT. You can transfer into UT. And so I did. Now, when I got to UT, I figured out something about myself. I didn't fit in. At that time, UT, we reached 51,000 students, and there was 1,100 Black.
Wow.
I was 1,100. I was telling people, do you realize that when certain classes, you can have a class of 600 people, and you could be the only Black person? And it was really like that. So I never fit in. So I found a little niche and stuff. But I did what my brother wanted me to do. I didn't want to mess over his money. So I went to college. Got a degree. I got it in organizational communication, which at that time was human resources. I did well. Came through, got a good job, then said, oh, okay, this is pretty good. Started rising the ranks. Got my, my SHRM, and then I went on to get all these things, and I was unhappy. I looked back one day and said, you know what? I was making at this time, so early 2000s, I was making about $70,000 a year. A lot of money. I was bouncing checks like left and right. There was something missing in me, and I could not figure it out. So I lived through life that way, got into my 40s, and one day woke up and said, I know what I'm missing. I'm missing the love of my history. I don't get it anymore. Where do I get it from? I only get it from my books. I wasn't in a place to where there were people can tell me what to read. I missed my history. So I woke up and said, I'm going to get a master's degree. So I got a master's in African American studies. Now, this is where the school comes in. In my master's in African American studies, I had to do my thesis. I originally started my thesis on the prison pipeline, Houston Independent School District, the prison to pipeline for African American students. I went in front of IRB, everything got approved, and they said, okay, go for it. Well, while I was sitting here doing my research, I said, wait a minute, all I'm doing is talking about the problem. Where's the solution? So I went back to my professors at the time in my chairs and said, look, I want to change it. They looked at me like I was crazy and said, you do realize it's going to cost you another year of school. And mind me, I was paying for my education, and it's going to cost you some more money. I was in a private school, Prescott College. I said, I don't care, because I can either talk about the problem, or I can come up with a solution. So my solution was an African-centered education. I took my thesis and I wrote of the needs of African American children. What would take us from being, I don't want to say, I hate the word minorities, but what would take
Yeah,
us from being,
I don't use
yeah,
that
I
word.
don't use it either. So what would take African American students from being on the lower threshold in education and move them up? And I kept saying, what did it take for me? Someone to believe in me. I don't have to educate you. If I can just believe in you. So I started with that. So I looked into the Nguzo Saba, and I looked into my art and stuff, and said, let me put all this into a curriculum that is aligned with the state curriculum, so no one can say, yeah, you're teaching this Black stuff, but you're not teaching them what they need to know to make it in the world. So with all of that, I put it together. Thesis got approved, everything, graduated. And then I came out, I was still working, and I said, you know what? I have to test my theory. So let me test my theory on Know Thyself Academy. And that's when somehow you met me, and to bring your children in, and other people brought their kids in, and I tested my theory, and it works. If I can provide a child with love, if I can provide a child with hope, if I can let them know that they are truly great, and that this system out there that has told them otherwise is against them for a reason, if I can just make a child believe in themselves, I don't have to teach them reading, writing, arithmetic. They're going to want to learn. And that's how Know Thyself Academy came about. So every day I get up in the morning and I teach. I don't work. I follow my passion. It is my passion. I love what I do. And it's because I look at, if it was not for that one man who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself, and no one else believed in me, not my mother, my family, anyone else, but that one man believed in me. And because of him, I am where I am today. So that's the story of why I chose this path.
Man, that is phenomenal. I didn't even know all of that. I mean, how long have we been knowing each other? About 6 years?
About 6, 7 years, yeah.
6, 7 years. So, audience, let me just chime in here and tell you how that's. I think I heard you on the radio station. I think just happened chance I heard you on the radio station, and I called you because I'm all about that. Black and being empowered for our people, and at the same time, I was already homeschooling my children. So maybe I was a pioneer, but I just realized that nobody can educate my children better than me or better than their mother can educate them. So when I heard about Rose's program, I said, you know what, let me give a call up. And turned out she's not too far from where I live, a little bit further than what I wanted to go, but I was invested in getting my children the best education at the time, guys and girls. And, I said, you know what, I'm going to support her, because if I'm about that business, I claim I'm who I am, I got to support somebody that's about making impact in our community. So I put my 2 sons in the program. I put my son Rodney, who went with Know Thyself Academy in 7th and 8th grade, and I put my younger son Christian, who was starting 4th grade at the time, and they just excelled, beyond. And the thing, like Rose said, and what they affectionately call her is Mama Rose. Everybody calls her Mama Rose, and I just love that, because the empowerment that I thought I was giving my sons, I wasn't even giving them that much superior encouragement. I was giving more of a rigid format, but she gave them the love, that infusion that they need, that softened out some of my rough edges, that actually created an incredible recipe for success. So that propelled my children to go even further than where they were going, because she had the love, she had the curriculum, I had the regiment, and it was a perfect match. And the great thing about this, I had already been through a couple of online programs and some in the evangelical world of just straight, Christian orthodoxy. And it was good, but it was missing. Every time I talked to them about the Black representation, it was always a ha, whatever. And I was like, you know what? I can't be paying you thousands of dollars for a ha and whatever, because my children are Black, period. And we got to get a Black perspective on everything, right. Be it, reading, be it science, be it math, because at the end of the day, we've invented more things than anybody on the planet. And my children need to know that. And Mama Rose brought that to them. And then on top of that, it was almost seeing the things that from a support, because it was a struggle. Talk to the struggle that the state tried to prevent you and close your doors at one point in time. And we reached out and we did everything we could to keep your doors open. Can you talk to that quickly, Rose?
Yes. Following the laws of Texas, I'm not supposed to be able to have any children in my home unless I register as a daycare center. Well, I'm not a daycare center. This is a learning institution. But I followed the laws of them. And I had, I did everything. I had people coming in just at any time. And if you can imagine, if I'm teaching my students to understand what's out there, this system that's against them, but this system was actually coming in, telling me how to run my school.
Oh, yeah.
And it was, to me, I felt like I was doing them a disadvantage. But I had a parent who knew this, and I made it clear, guys, I have to follow the state because I want to do this. And I had a parent that got upset because their child, which I teach, all of my children are treated the same. I love them all. When they're in trouble, they're in trouble. When I love them, I mean, they are all, but she had an issue. So she knew the one thorn in my side was the state. So she called the state on me.
Wow.
Well,
My own people called the state on you.
My own people.
Imagine that.
My own people with a child that really was one of the children that needed to be here called the state on me.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I had to have, the state came in, first and foremost, she tells me, well, you cannot talk to these children like this. I'll talk to these children like a parent will talk to these children. And then they tell me, well, you can't do this and you can't. So now they're sanctioning me and I'm having to pay fines because of this one person who was upset. Not at something I did. She was upset because she felt I shouldn't be pushing her child as hard as I was pushing him. And I had to go through all this. Now, if you can imagine the hurt and the pain for me having to open up everything and people coming in looking and saying, well, what are you doing here? Well, why are you not doing this? This is not a daycare. This is an educational institution. But they couldn't get that in their head because the state of Texas says if you have children in your home, you must be a licensed daycare provider. That in itself it was a pull on me. It was so hard. And DJ knows I ended up in the hospital because with heart issues at 44 years old, because I had this state coming telling me what I was doing was wrong. But when in my heart, I knew what I was doing was right. I had a parent who needed me come tell me that she didn't like what I was doing for her child, even though he had excelled. I mean, he'd excelled more. He had never in his entire life.
That kid did a 180. I remember.
Yes, you remember. This child in his entire life had never read a book. My students read 8 books in 1 year. So this child read those 8 books, but that in itself just took a toll on me. We are a nonprofit agency. So my board came to me and said, Rose, you can't keep up with this. You can't keep doing it. I was living off of my savings and credit cards. I wasn't taking a salary. And because this is my passion, this is my purpose.
Right.
And I found passion in my purpose. So that was one of the things. And finally, the state thought they went out. The fines, my board members all came together and said, okay, we're going to get them paid. Don't worry about it. We're going to get it done. And they said, let's stop and let's step back. So we did. And we reorganized. I reorganized without the state in my business. Because I know if the state truly had our best interests, they would be educating our children and there would be no need for Know Thyself Academy. But they don't. And they knew when that woman would come in and she would see this and she's like, oh, this is all But for some reason, and she was an Hispanic woman, our investigator was an Hispanic woman. For some reason, she did not want Know Thyself Academy to succeed. And I'm sitting there thinking, sweetheart, if Know Thyself Academy succeeds, guess what? There's a Know Thyself Academy that can be for the Hispanic people because you guys are treated the same way we are. She couldn't fathom that. So I went through all that, but it didn't break me. It made me stronger. It made me go back and realize, okay, what can I do? This time I opened up the school. I did some research. Guess what? I am now a private school. I don't have to follow their laws. Because their laws were telling me I had to have an 8th grader sleep for an hour and a half. What am I going to have an 8th grader sleep for an hour and a half for? Because they had me under daycare. So now everything, I am legitimately following the state laws, but I found a loophole in it because of my research. So I can operate the way I want to operate now.
Wait, hold. Let me interject right here. You hear what she just said, Nick? She found a loophole. This is the creativity that we have as a people. We're creators. So
Right.
she practices the 4 P's. I teach Rose the 4 P's to my members. Number 1, professionalism. Number 2, persistence. Number 3, perseverance. So she persevered to find the loophole because her passion was to help our people. And now she's producing a high-end product for our people in education. Rose, do me a favor. Give us some highlights of actually how the curriculum works and what separates it from other, Black-oriented school curriculums, because there's something that you do from a thinking standpoint that's very powerful on the critical thinking side that I love. Can you talk to that and tell the people how you make the kids break down sentences? I mean, this is amazing. So talk to that for us, Rose, because nobody does this but Rose.
Being a lover of English and history and writing, I love to write. I do a lot of things different. Let me go back. One thing I do is I meditate. I believe we have so much going on. Our children need to meditate. So our kids here, they meditate for 10 minutes or longer if needed, because they need to slow their brains down. Let's slow it down a little bit. And once they've learned that, we start doing other things. Critical thinking is big to me. Woo. Now, really big, and it's funny because my lovely Dara today asked me what a word was, and I told her, oh, you're trying because there's no dictionary. Because if you ask me, if I say a word or you read a word and you don't know what it is, I don't tell you what that means. You have to go get the dictionary. When you get the dictionary, we take that word and they have to write it out. I have a 12-foot board. They have to write out the word and define it, that definition. Then they take the words within that definition, and then they have to define those. So we have to get all the way down to the knit and the grit of their word, where does it start from? What does it truly mean? Now, they hate it, but guess what? They've become wordsmiths because of it. I love it because not only I'm learning from them, because there are some words I know the general definition of, but some words I ended up breaking down. They end up breaking down.
They call the etymology of the word.
The etymology. They take it down to the etymology, all the way down, because people don't realize that, that's the reason why Malcolm X was a brilliant man, because he was a wordsmith. He knew the etymology of words. And if you could, I tell him, if you have to know, I may not be able to balance my checkbook and I may not be able to do algebra, but guess what? I can read to get through life. So, and then if people will put things in front of you, they will put those big words in so that you don't understand it.
Yeah, purposely.
Right, purposely, to throw you off. So now they know these words. So that's one of the things that I do. Critical thinking is big on me. I tell them all the time, and my students will tell you, they have heard this so much. I can lead a horse to water, but I cannot make him drink. I can give you a book, but I cannot make you think. And that is what I always tell them. So I'm like, you have to critically think about everything. We actually have a course on critical thinking, a full hour and a half once a week on critical thinking. And it is difficult for them sometimes, but guess what? I'm telling you, can you not do it? I can do it, because they have affirmations every morning, and their affirmations will tell them, it's 13 of them now. So we actually add, we start out with 6. By the end of the year, we normally have about 15, but they have to affirm themselves every morning. Man, so when they start saying, I can't, you can't, oh, you can't. Okay. Are you an African or an Africant? I'm African. I'm like, well, get it done. Get it done. So that's all a part of that critical thinking. Now they stop telling me I can't do it, because they can do it. And I want them to just break it down. There are so many people out here that I see, adults my age, that I look at them like, don't you think? Just think. But they've been taught to not think. They've been taught to follow. I am not educating followers. I'm educating leaders.
Amen.
I know if I don't get it right with these children, the future for me is bleak. Those children are our future. And I don't want an orange man in office, for them 20 years, someone that cannot think that someone just regurgitates whatever, has no sense at all. I don't want that. I need my students to leave me and be able to go on in life and think. Because if they can think for themselves, guess what? There's nothing they cannot accomplish.
They can do anything. So talk to us, what grade did your school start at? What grade does it end at? And tell us about some of your success stories. We're a little bit short on time, and we're going to do a second interview with you as well, Rose. But I want you to encapsulate where your school starts, where it ends, highlight some success stories, and then tell us where you're located, and then tell us how we can find you on the internet and what can we do to help to keep the doors of Know Thyself Academy open and to actually keep it packed. So if you can start there, I appreciate it, Rose.
Okay, well, oh gosh, the first, let me tell you about helping Know Thyself Academy. Know Thyself Academy is a nonprofit organization. I chose it to do nonprofit because I could write grants for it. I'm a writer. I love writing. I don't have the time to write the grants. So I do get grants here and there from different people. And I've had some major, community involved people, donate money to me. So Know Thyself Academy in itself, we operate on what we bring in. Again, my salary, my students I don't take a big salary.
Sure
don't.
And I try to encourage them to take more.
Right. I can't because what's most important is the school. What's most important is that classroom. So my deal is I work side jobs. I teach Chinese children in the mornings. I do 501c3s, LLCs, and all these things because I know there's a need. As long as I can eat, keep the lights and stuff on, I'm good because one day all this is going to pay off. Now,
so let me interject right here, Rose. So based on that, I want everybody that's watching this video, I want you, a lot of people told me they didn't know where to put their money behind legitimate Black organizations. This is a legitimate Black organization that you can put your money behind. And I can tell you personally, I have had all 4 of my children go through this program for the past 6 years and are continuing to be in the program. I donate to the program and you can donate to the program. And guess what? Every dollar that goes in, like Mama Rose said, is going right to the children's education, their tools, and tell them about the trips that you take them on as well. I mean, so much great things that she's doing. She is literally the Ida B. Wells of our 21st century. If you know,
that's
I mean, I'm keeping it 100. This is from me to you, to keeping it real, because it's all about being incorporated in our people and building them up from the affirmations in the morning to the assignments to the trips that they take that is even important as well. So I just want everybody to know right now, get your pocketbooks out, make a donation if you don't know how, and 2, contact me. We'll make sure those dollars get right into Know Thyself Academy. Well, back to you, Rose. Like I said, we're going to encapsulate it and take it out.
Oh gosh, you got me crying over here. You got me crying. Yes, the field trips. We go on field trips at least twice a month because of educational experience does not happen within 4 walls. So we do all type of things. We you name it, we do it. And my kids, we go, they learn at camp, they go to different places. I mean, we have field trips that are actually teaching them about life. We do the museum things because they're great, but we also do the things that like the camping. Who's to say one day we may need to know how to start a fire without a match and whatever else. So we do all different types of field trips. We're in a homeschool group. It's called BFF. That's just great. And we do some really amazing field trips. They learn about, and the thing about me and the field trips, I want the parents to know, and they know, when we do a field trip, the children will tell you they come back and they have a quiz on what they learned. Exactly. So they know this is not for fun. This is all education.
Amazon. Tell them about the Amazon field trip and the guy who created the Super Soaker. Tell them about those.
Yeah. Well, we got a chance to go see Amazon. I was amazed with that. If anyone, and that's an opportunity that a lot of people don't get a chance to see. We got the chance to go to the Houston Distribution Center and learn about how Amazon works. From the mechanics of the robots all the way down to the people putting it on. We saw every little part of Amazon, which is just amazing. Because we don't think, how does this work? We think we put it in our phone, we get it, and it comes to our door. There's so much behind it. So the children got a chance to see that. They had a quiz on that. they got a chance to meet one of my idols, which is Mr. Johnson. He is the founder of the Super Soaker, the water gun. I'm a big kid at heart. He came and my students went and we had a lunch and learn with him. They had to come dressed in their best, and we had a lunch and we met this man and we heard his story of perseverance, his story of how he had to overcome some of the things that he had to overcome with racism and all these things. So my students got an opportunity to see him. And we would have had many more field trips if this pandemic wouldn't have happened, but they got a chance. And I can promise you, when Dale's kids went up there, both of them said, I want to be, all three of the kids I brought, because it was for the older group. I took the 3 older kids with me. One of them said, I want to be an engineer, which was Christian said, I'm going to be an engineer one day. Dale, my sweetheart, says, I'm going to work for you one day. And it was so funny. And I told her, I said, she's going to take your job one day. She's going to take over your company one day. And he said, I would be proud to have her. So we do these things. We also teach chess. People don't understand chess is a black man's game. We started chess. So my students learn created by the black man. My students learn chess. So all these things that I do is for the betterment of my students that are normally not offered to them, but are offered to those of more means, I would say.
Exactly. And what's the language that you teach our children that we should all know anyway?
Well, we start them off with Swahili, but then they go into Yoruba. Why Yoruba? Because we're in Houston, Texas. Guess what? We have the largest population of Nigerians in America here in Houston. So they learn that language. If it was not for COVID-19 and all these other things going on, part of the thing was we were going on a field trip and they were going to the African stores, the Nigerian stores, and they were going to have to speak to them. So because they need to know we have a language. Our language is not English. We had a language well before a European stepped on the face of the earth. So they needed to understand that. And what I do is I teach our children to be proud of who they are. And who they are is not what society says. Who they are is what we truly are. So we don't know it if we don't know our history. And they have to know their history and they have to know their languages. So as you can tell, this is truly my passion and I love it. And I know we're running out of time, but the thing about Know Thyself Academy is we are Know Thyself Academy because someone believed in me. Know Thyself Academy is a community thing. I do have to charge because I still have to pay the bills to keep it on, but my tuition is very low in comparison to a lot of places, in comparison to most places. But we need help. We do need help. And I can't leave without saying that because there's so many things I want to expose our children to, and that takes money. I want to take them on an HBCU college tour. I have never gone. I've gone to TSU for a little while, and I am a Longhorn. If you guys cannot tell,
yes, you recruited my son.
I did.
From my 5 choices.
I did. He made the best choice, but HBCUs. I want them to see what we have to offer. I want our children to be able to go to Black-owned businesses and see we don't run businesses like they think. Like society tells them. We have viable, good, multi-million-dollar businesses. So these are the things I want to do for our students I want to expose them to what is usually not afforded to them.
Absolutely.
And that's a true holistic education. That's what Know Thyself Academy is. We are a holistic institution.
Couldn't be better said. So Rose, what I'm going to do is end it this way. So I like the fact that your holidays are holidays that celebrate our Black legends and our icons.
Yes.
And if you can touch that, give us 60 seconds on that. Then I want Nick to give a wrap up. Then I'm gonna close it out, and we're gonna do a part 2 because we got to do this like a docu-series, like they had The Last Dance. It was 10 episodes. We would not be doing you justice if we don't give you at least 10 episodes too on our platform. So Rose, if you can speak to that real quickly in 60 seconds, and then I'm gonna have Nick give it a shot in, then I'm gonna wrap it up, and then we're gonna come out and we're gonna schedule another time to get back with you, Rose. Take it away.
Well, the holidays. Well, the U.S. just celebrated. What was it? I don't even know. Memorial Day. It goes to show I don't even follow those holidays. That was not Memorial Day. That was Malcolm X Day. We gave honor to Malcolm X. So as all the holidays fall on different things, we have. Oh gosh, I can't even. We don't do. Oh, I can't even think of. We have
W.E. Du Bois.
Yeah, we have W.E. Du Bois Day. All the days. It's funny. Martin Luther King, which we know we have that. We have W.E.B. Du Bois. We have. Every holiday that the students that the Houston Independent School District follows, I follow as well, but we renamed them. I'm not giving any of our credit to anyone except for what's due. Man. So we follow the birthdays of theirs. So, when we're saying these days, and my students know, oh, it's not Memorial Day, it's not July 4th, it's not this and that. All of these days actually are named after our great leaders, those that have paved the way for me and you to be where you are. And so when I have to recognize and honor them, I'm going to honor them by saying their name and giving them their just due during those times.
Absolutely. Where can we reach you at? Give us your information slowly. Repeat it to us twice. We're going to put it in the links below of this interview. And what number we can reach you at, Rose? Can you give us that information, please?
Yes. First thing, our website is www.Know Thyself Academy, KnowThyselfAcademy.org. KnowThyselfAcademy.org. You can Google us and you will find us. My personal email, my work email is rspencer, RSPENCER @KnowThyselfAcademy.org. You can reach me by phone at 713-550-6464, which is actually my personal cell, but I like that one better because it will get answered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Can you repeat that again, Rose? The number again, please?
713-550-6464.
And how can we make contributions if we want to make one right now to your school?
Oh gosh!
And how can we make a contribution?
Wow, there's many ways you can actually make a contribution, and the most simplest way for those who may not always have money, and I have to put this in, we are part of the Amazon Smile campaign. So each time you order from Amazon, if you go into Amazon Smile and you choose us as your organization, your charitable organization, Amazon gives us money.
Okay.
And so that's one good way. So please look for Amazon Smile and look for Know Thyself Academy. Another way, we have, we take monetary donations through through Swipe, Square. There's so many different ways. We have, however you want. If you get in touch with me, however we
so
have.
Let's get in touch with you first, or get in touch with me, DJ the Money Coach. That's how it's done.
And understand, you will get at the end of the beginning of each year, we do send out letters of contribution. So it is all tax deductible for you that need those tax breaks. So there's always opportunities, but if you can, you can donate through so many different means, and anything you give, any little bit will help. Because I buy books for my students. If a new book comes out and they need to have it, I buy it, even though it's not even within the budget. So some of that I have to take out of my own money, but I want them to have it. So if it's $5, $10, do understand it is going to a great cause and it will be utilized.
Awesome. Nick, so you chime in. Normally, Nick, we have you chime in more than that, but we had to make sure we give Mama Rose the platform, absolutely uninterrupted. But Nick, as an educator yourself, give us your 2 cents in 60 to 90 seconds and wrap that up. Then I'm gonna close it out, and then we're gonna schedule another time for Mama Rose to come back on the platform.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you, Mama Rose. It's been an honor, and I'm so grateful to sit at your feet and soak up this knowledge and wisdom, and just to hear your story. It's definitely an honor. And as you were speaking, before you even mentioned that Know Thyself Academy provides a holistic experience, that's what I was thinking. You were naming you were talking about the curriculum, the meditation, the trips. I'm like, wow, this sounds like a holistic experience. And as an educator myself, I definitely recognize the importance of a holistic experience. And it sounds like, based on your passion, based on what you're doing, all the great things that you're doing, that your school truly encapsulates the name, Know Thyself. And one of my African American studies professors, Dr. Andreas Woods, I attended an HBCU, so I know that's an incredible experience. So I would love for your kids to experience that. Dr. Andreas Woods said, the knowledge that's most important is knowledge of self. There's no knowledge more important than knowledge of self. So I'll end off on that.
Man, that is fired up. So hey, guys and girls out there, I'm so excited. Mama Rose, I mean, it's a privilege and honor. You have the utmost respect, and you actually have my absolute trust because you take care of my 3 wonderful children out of my 4, and you've educated all 4 of them. And I owe you a debt of service that I can't put a price tag on it. But I'm going to always do everything I can to champion the program, even when my children have graduated out of it completely. But we're going to champion, we're going to continue to donate to the cause. And so I'm going to ask everybody to get in contact with us. We're going to put the links below. If you can't get in contact with Mama Rose directly, you can reach me, DJ the Money Coach. You know how to get in touch with me. And we'll put this series available immediately up on the broadcast and our platform. And we're going to bring Mama Rose back. But before I close everything out, I always like to tell everybody, I wish you to have a pom-pom lifestyle. That's plenty of money and peace of mind, because you deserve to have your best life when you know thyself first. So I want you to come join us on the beaches of the world. I thank you, Mama Rose. I thank you, Nick. Hey,
thank you.
DJ the Money Coach.
It was my honor.
Peace.
Peace.